A swordsman clan that rules over half the world, Runcandle. People in this famous clan of swordmasters were born with powerful bodies and exceptional talent, wielding dominance over the world with their martial prowess. Battle, plunder, possession. A world where the survival of the fittest justified those three actions. That was the clan I was born into. I am Jin Runcandle, the youngest son of the Runcandle family. During the selection ritual that foretold a child's future, I chose the patriarch sword, marking me as the one who grasped the fate of the next patriarch. A man observed. He selected Barasada. That's quite interesting. At the time, I believed only success and glory awaited me. But however, how does this make sense? I had no talent for swordmanship. A descendant of Runcandle who was terrible with a sword, disgraceful. The dishonor of Runcandle. Falling far below even the average within the clan, I was called the least talented Runcandle in history. Hey bro, someone sneered. Are you just swinging that wooden sword pointlessly again? Leave him alone. Maybe he doesn't want to wield a sword unless it's a special one. Well, where did he leave that special sword then? Yeah, where did you put Barasada? Swinging a mere wooden sword instead? Jin sat in silence. Hey, answer us. One of his brothers taunted before kicking him. Are you serious right now? He sneered, sending Jin flying to the ground with a blow to his stomach. Useless bastard. His brother reached down to grab his sword. Jin instinctively did the same, but before he could, another stomped down on his hand. Why do you even bother swinging this thing when it's all pointless? Jin winced in pain. His other brother held up a pamphlet of papers. And what's this? Basic swordsmanship theory, he scoffed. Do you really think you'll get anywhere by studying this nonsense? This is why you shouldn't give chances to those who can't amount to anything. He began to snap Jin's wooden sword. Don't give that back. Jin protested. It's because people like you are given chances that they don't know their place. They end up with worthless hope. His brother spat, snapping the sword in half and tearing the papers apart. Jin fell to the ground saying you didn't have to do this. One of them grabbed him by the hair and sneered. What do you mean? We didn't have to do this? We're doing all this because we care about you, yet you talk back. The other added, is this the kind of attitude your nanny taught you? Jin gritted his teeth. Gilly has nothing to do with this. Seeing as you're still fighting back, I think we need to give you a real lesson in manners, as your big brothers. Torment from my older brothers. My pathetic talent. I thought none of it mattered. I thought that if I worked hard enough, I would eventually earn my family's acknowledgement. That I would become a proud member of Runcandle. I sincerely believed that. But then, Jin Runcandle, from this moment onwards, you are expelled from the clan. Standing outside the gates, I looked up and laughed bitterly. Because your hard work was commendable, we won't kill you, they had said. At the age of 23, I was exiled, a vagrant with no destination. And that was when I met my master. That was when I found out I did, in fact, have a talent for magic. A forbidden act within my clan. 3 years later, by connecting the mana that exists within nature with the magician's own mana, you can recover and strengthen your next spell. A black shadow enveloped my senses, taking me off guard. I turned around, distraught, only to see a massive, ominous figure looming over me. Who is this? I demanded. The figure's voice echoed. I am Sodaret, the master of all shadows, Jin Runcandle. As the god of shadows, let me propose a contract. If you form a pact with me, you will not only be able to use spiritual power, but you will also gain the ability to nullify all curses. Sodaret looked hard at Jin. Oh, contractor. It seems you incurred someone's wrath at a young age. You were unable to awaken your talent due to a curse, an insignificant one at that. My eyes widened. A curse? That's right. It's called the Bladed Illusion Curse. A curse that represses one's talent for the sword. It must have been a painful curse for a Runcandle like you. I see, he murmured. This must be why I was drawn to you. Raising his hand, from this moment onward, no curse may harm you. With a snap of his fingers, the restriction that had bound me for so long shattered. All that remains for you is to become the magic swordsman of the century. Jin Run Candle, I shall watch over you with pleasure. I stood there in silence, processing what had just happened. Then, gripping my sword tightly, I ran outside. I unsheathed it and swung with full force under the moonlight. It was exactly as Sodaret had said. When I grabbed the sword I had long abandoned, I saw a new level that I had given up on. It's light, I thought. No, it's like it weighs nothing. As if I'm swinging my own arm. The least talented boy in Run Candle history was no more. If I add magic to this. Finally, I thought my hard work is paying off. On a nearby cliff, 3 men in knight's armor observed me. And then pain, my eyes burned, blood trickled down my face. Then a scream, my body felt heavy. What's happening? I thought. I looked around in confusion. People were running past me, their voices whispers in my ears. Is anyone there? I felt myself slipping away, dying in my sleep. Was I destined for nothing? I didn't even get a chance to use magic or Sodaret's power. Then why was I given a chance at all? Darkness consumed me. Then light. My eyes opened. 2 small hands rested on the ground before me. I blinked. I looked around and saw my clan members. What's going on? I was sure I had died. Then I saw Gilly standing before me. Good luck, young Master Jin. I turned my head forward, and there it was. The sword. Vaidizada. Ah, it's the selection ritual. I slowly crawled forward, realization dawning on me. I returned to the past, to when I was just a 1-year-old baby. In my past life, I had grabbed this sword by coincidence. Now, I reached out again and touched Barasada. The crowd gasped. The Patriarch's sword, someone exclaimed. The young master grabbed it. I clenched my fist. In this life, I will choose for myself. Someone in the crowd gasped. How can this be? The Patriarch declared, the youngest has selected Barasada. The selection ritual ends here. Move the youngest to Storm Castle. 6 years later, Storm Castle, a young boy reached up, trying to grab a book from the bookcase. Jin said, I can't reach it. He thought to himself, it's already been 6 years since I came to Storm Castle. According to the rules of the house, I have to stay here until I'm 10. That means I still have 3 years left. It's boring. A loud crash echoed through the castle. Jin turned toward the door, frowning. What is it? A maid hurried in. Young master, a dead bird has appeared in your room. Jin's expression darkened. The only ones who would do something like this in Storm Castle are the twin brothers. Outside, 2 boys stood grinning. Ah, look at that, one sneered. How pitiful. The servant girl found it first. What a waste. Daytona Run Candle, 9 years old. 11th of the 13 Run Candle siblings. I know, right? The other chuckled. We got it ourselves to show you. Daytona Run Candle, 9 years old. 12th of the 13 Run Candle siblings. How is it? The gift from your brothers. Are you so touched that you're going to cry? Jin looked down in silence. Those brothers of mine. I know they become infamous as murderers after becoming flag bearers. Kids who aren't even 9 yet, killing an innocent bird just to torment me. Hey, Tona taunted. Don't actually cry though. It's ugly. They laughed. Hey, can't you hear us? Hey, Tona added. So, you think you don't have to pay attention to us just because you chose the fate of the Patriarch? Daytona smirked. Why would such a person walk around empty-handed, without Barasada? Jin muttered something under his breath. What did you say? Daytona snapped. He grabbed Jin's shoulder, cocking back a fist. I can't hear you. Speak up. Jin caught his fist midair. Daytona's eyes widened in shock. Jin's cold voice cut through the tension. You're being noisy. Shut the hell up. Then, without warning, he delivered a brutal uppercut to Daytona's chin. Daytona stumbled back. What the fuck? Jin didn't stop. Another uppercut to the gut, followed by a powerful right straight to his ribs. I held back for you too until now, Jin said. But not anymore. With a final hook to Daytona's stomach, he looked down at him. From now on, it would be best if you stayed out of my sight. A man rushed over. Young masters, what happened? The black energy surrounding Jin dissipated. Khan, the guardian knight, looked between them. Young Master Jin, this is too much. They suddenly started fighting. Jin said flatly. Khan blinked. You said what? Jin's gaze remained firm. Didn't you hear me? They fought each other and both collapsed. Khan thought to himself, as expected, even the youngest run candle is brutal. Is that so? Khan finally said, Understood. Then I'll take the Tana twins to the doctor. No, Khan, Jin said. My brothers have somewhere else to be. Follow me. Outside. In the rain, Jin knelt by a small, makeshift grave, a simple burial for the bird his brothers had killed. Rain poured heavily, soaking the ground. Nearby, the twins sat beneath a tree, drenched and shivering. Khan hesitated. Young Master Jin, are you really going to leave them out here? The storm will only get stronger. Jin, still facing the grave, spoke firmly. My brothers need to understand the severity of what they've done. He turned to look at Khan. Khan exhaled sharply. I respect your decision, young master. Jin walked away, leaving Khan standing in silence. Khan thought, that energy, it definitely was an aura. Could it have been mana? If that's the case, then this wasn't a simple fight between brothers. I'll need to report this to the Patriarch. He turned to a nearby servant. You. Yes, sir. Bring me a horse. Inside the mansion, Jin stood by the window, watching as Khan rode off. As I thought, he's going to report to father. Khan was their guardian knight, but he was also our surveillant. It would look like magic to Khan's eyes, so there's no way he would stay still. Spiritual power. The proof of my contract with Sadaret. Jin clenched his fist. Thanks to this power, I've confirmed that my contract is still valid in this life. And with the curse immunity bestowed by Sadaret, I've escaped the bladed illusion curse. The dunce of Run Candle is no more. His gaze sharpened. From now on, my life will be very different to my previous one. The only thing left is to meet my father. In the dark forest, kneeling on one knee, Khan finished his report. That is all. The Patriarch sat in silence, deep in thought. Finally, he spoke. The youngest. Against the Tana twins? He rose from his seat. Khan, assemble the flag bearers. I'll go meet the youngest. Khan's breath hitched. Yes, my lord. The Patriarch turned to leave. Behind him, two figures followed, one with long silver hair, the other with short black hair. Soon, the forest filled with warriors. We've assembled the 7 flag bearers of Run Candle and the 200 knights under them, the black-haired man announced. The Patriarch stood at the front, his presence commanding. All right, he said. A chilling silence fell over the group. Some warriors smiled in amusement. Others yawned in boredom. Then, without another word, the Patriarch turned. His long blue cape swayed as he strode forward. We're going to storm castle. One of the flag bearers spoke up. What's with the sudden assembly order? Brother Deepu's, do you know anything? I asked Big Sis Luna, and she didn't seem to know either. The one speaking was Mary Run Candle, Run Candle's 7th flag bearer. I was busy knocking out those magicians before this, she added. Deepu's Run Candle, the 4th flag bearer, replied, the Tana twins will arrive at Storm Castle next year, so I don't think it's because of them. Maybe father is planning to go see our little brother. Deepu's Run Candle is Runkadel's 4th flag bearer. The little brother? Why? Mary asked. Didn't he choose the Patriarch's sword during the selection ritual? All right, I forgot. Mary muttered. But even if he chose the Patriarch's fate, is this necessary? Well, we can never really know what father is thinking. Mary Deepu's, a cold voice interrupted. They immediately fell silent. Apologies, big sister, they said in unison. The one they addressed was Luna Run Candle, the 1st flag bearer. Mary thought to herself, for father to visit him in person. Is her little brother really that useful? Meanwhile, at Storm Castle, Gilly tightened Jin's collar. I can't believe the Lord Patriarch is visiting in person, she said. Is he coming to see the young master? I don't know, Jin replied. Looks like Khan properly reported to father, Jin thought. Khan has an inflexible personality. He wouldn't have concluded that I used magic right away. Instead, he would have reported exactly what he saw the youngest son using an unknown power that isn't mana or aura. Father is coming to observe this power himself. and to determine whether or not I will be helpful to the clan's future and prosperity. At the Storm Castle gates, the guards trembled as the gates swung open. The subjects knelt. "We bow before the Lord Patriarch," they shouted. As the Patriarch strode into the Great Hall, he ordered, "Call in the Tana twins." Daytona and Haytona stepped forward. "Yes, Father," they said in unison. "I heard that you had a quarrel with Jin," the Patriarch said. "What are your mistakes in this matter?" The twins stiffened, exchanging nervous glances. Haytona spoke first. "We've done nothing wrong." Daytona nodded. "It was Jin who struck us first." "That's right," they both added. "With an unknown ability. It wasn't aura. It was like magic of some sort." "Yeah," they confirmed together. "Magic is a taboo in our clan, right?" "That's right, Father," Daytona insisted. "If Jin used magic, we should interrogate him before he hides anything." "Enough," the Patriarch said coldly. The twins flinched. "My sons," he continued, "engrave this into your hearts. You will not survive in Run Candle with that kind of thinking." The twins' eyes widened in shock. Then, the Patriarch commanded, "Bring Jin in." Jin took a deep breath as he approached the Great Hall. "My father, Siren Run Candle, the strongest yet coldest man I have ever known, the most powerful being of this era, who has reached the demigod realm, the Genesis Knight. He was once an ordinary man, but after reaching the demigod realm, he lost all the emotions that made him human. Now, he became a being that had a blind obsession directed toward the clan and its prosperity. To a father like that, someone without talent for swordsmanship, like me, was as good as nothing. But this time, in this life, it's different. No one will ever ignore me again." Jin pushed open the grand doors. His siblings glared at him in disdain. Jin kneeled. "I bow before the Patriarch." Siren's sharp eyes bore into him. "Why do you address me as Patriarch and not Father?" Jin remained calm. "Brothers, sisters, and guardian knights," he said, glancing around. "Over 100 members of the clan are present. I assumed this was an official visit from the Patriarch, so I chose to address you as such." Luna's eyes widened slightly in surprise. Siren nodded. "That is a satisfactory answer." "Thank you, Lord Patriarch," Jin replied. "I came to Storm Castle for other reasons," Siren said. "So for now, address me as your father." "Yes, Father," Jin answered. "Then," Siren continued, "I will ask you the same question I asked your brothers. What was their mistake in your quarrel?" Jin looked up slightly, his gaze firm. "Their mistake was revenge." Silence filled the hall. Jin stated, "If one is a member of the Run Candle clan, they must always return what they have received." Mary scoffed, whether that is kindness or hatred. But then her scoff turned into a wide grin. Siren sat in quiet contemplation, processing Jin's words. Then he spoke. "Everyone except him. Leave the room." Gasps filled the hall. The guardian knights murmured among themselves. "Did young Master Jin just pass the Lord Patriarch's test?" A black-haired woman snapped. "What are you all doing?" The Patriarch gave an order. "Yes," they confirmed. "Your wish is our command." One by one, they filed out. Mary smirked as she left. A one-on-one with Father? She thought. Our little bro isn't half bad. Once the doors shut, Siren's piercing gaze settled on Jin. "I sent everyone away to ask you something in private," he said. Jin remained silent, waiting. "The Tana twins claim you used a special power," Siren continued. "In the Run Candle clan, the use of magic is strictly forbidden, because a swordsman who learns magic will never reach the pinnacle of swordsmanship." His voice turned dangerously low. "What is the power that you wield?" A suffocating pressure filled the room. "If by any chance it is magic." Siren's eyes darkened. "You will not get away with it." Jin sat in silence, contemplating. Now that Father has taken notice of my power, he won't let this go. But Soderet's power was different. Finally, Jin spoke. "I do not know either." Siren's expression remained unreadable. "This power," Jin continued, "is neither aura nor magic. So I am wondering what to call it." Jin slowly lifted his hand. Black spiritual energy swirled around it, flickering like shadows. "If you don't mind," Jin said, meeting his father's gaze. "Could you put a name to it?" For the first time, a flicker of something, perhaps recognition, passed through Siren's eyes. This power, Siren thought, it is the power that the first patriarch once wielded. Siren Runcandle's piercing gaze remained locked onto Jin. That power is spirit power, the spirit of Barasada. He thought to himself, so this child truly is fated to be the patriarch. Jin looked up. Father. Siren gave a slight nod. All right, that power is from Sodaret, the god of shadows. Jin's eyes narrowed. The god of shadows? Yes. Siren's expression remained unreadable. Sodaret formed a contract with the first patriarch of Runcandle, Lord Timar, and is the god who has been with our house since its very birth. Jin listened intently. But after Timar passed away, Sodaret never appeared to the Runcandle clan again. Siren's voice darkened slightly. I do not know the reason, but it seems he has returned to Runcandle. Through you. Jin took a moment to process this. Then, Father, he asked, I have a question. Siren remained silent, waiting. That person, the god Sodaret, is he stronger than you? The room fell silent. A deep, contemplative look passed over Siren's face. To duel against a god, he muttered. Then, he let out a low chuckle. This father of yours has never fought a god, he admitted, so I do not know. Jin smirked internally. He doesn't know. Because he's never fought a god? A truly fitting answer for the most powerful man in the world. Siren stepped forward, extending a hand over Jin's head. My son, it was a good question. His deep voice resonated through the room. Your innocent curiosity has given me something to ponder. A rare, almost imperceptible smile flickered across his face. I think it was worth coming here today. Jin exhaled, relieved. Then, I will ask you. Siren's gaze darkened once again. That power of yours, how do you intend to use the spirit of Barasada? Jin didn't hesitate. I want to use it for the clan. Silence. Siren's lips curled into a smirk before breaking into laughter. Huh, that's an amusing lie. His voice echoed throughout the hall. You've beaten your older brothers and left them out in the storm, he said, his voice carrying a sharp edge. And yet you claim that you wish to use your power for the clan? Answer honestly in front of your father. Jin clenched his fists. As I thought, he realized he won't be fooled that easily. Jin took a deep breath and met his father's gaze. This power, he said slowly, I want to use it for myself. A thick silence filled the room. Then, good. Siren's approval came without hesitation. I like that. Jin's eyes widened slightly in shock. I'll be watching you from now on, Siren declared. And with that, he turned and left the room. The moment the doors closed behind him, Jin bent over, gasping for air. It's finally over. It would have been enough just to gain the right to wield spirit power freely, but now Father is looking forward to watching me? I didn't expect things to go this well. His thoughts drifted to his past life, to the cold indifference his father had shown him. This time, I'll live a completely different life than before. Later in the Storm Castle, hey little bro. Jin turned to see Mary Runcandle striding toward him, holding a brown box. Here, take this, she said, shoving it into his face. Jin blinked. Sister Mary. What's this? Mary grinned. A special gift from your big sis. She handed the box over to Gilly. Boil it, eat it well, and get strong fast, okay? Jin narrowed his eyes. Sister Mary, why me? That night, he opened the box. A faint red glow illuminated his face. Jin's breath hitched. This is a phoenix heart? Shock rippled through him. Giving something this valuable to a mere 7-year-old? His lips curled slightly. Sister Mary isn't sane either. Mary Runcandle, the 7th flag bearer of Runcandle, a 6-star knight, known as Stormwind Mary. But in secret, she had another title, the Southern Region's Madwoman. Jin exhaled sharply, shaking his head. It's obvious why a battle-hungry lunatic like her would give me this precious item. She wants me to grow fast, so she can fight me. He smirked. A phoenix heart. If eaten at a young age, it increases fire resistance and accelerates growth. His eyes darkened in thought. Now that I think about it, this was a crucial ingredient for 6-star magicians to safely summon phoenixes. Maybe this life, I'll be able to summon a real phoenix with my own hands. Later that night, "Young master, were you waiting long?" Jin turned to see Gilly entering with a bowl. "No," he replied. "Thanks, Gilly." She smiled. "Lady Mary really gave you a great gift before she left. Please eat it while it's warm." Before he could take the bowl, 2 figures approached. Jin's eyes flicked up. Daytona and Haytona. The twins hesitated. Jin leaned back. "If you have something to say, just say it." Daytona hesitated before muttering, "No, it's just..." "That's a lot for one person to eat, isn't it?" Haytona nodded. "Yeah." Gilly was handling a huge pot earlier. Jin smirked. "You two want some?" The twins shook their heads frantically. Jin's smirk widened. "Then, listen to my one request." Somewhere in the castle grounds, the twins grumbled, digging into the ground with shovels. "Wait, why are we even doing this?" Daytona muttered. "There's nothing here," Haytona agreed. "What if someone catches us? Why should we care?" Daytona scoffed. "If anything, the youngest will get in trouble." "Yeah, let's just eat the soup and leave." They continued digging when clink, a pebble tumbled down and hit something metallic. The twins continued their excavation. Beneath them, a metal container lay hidden. Inside it, a person, black hair, dark scales glistening in the faint moonlight. Walking back with their shovels, Daytona and Haytona looked exhausted. Their faces were covered in sweat and dirt, their steps sluggish. Jin greeted them with a smirk. "Welcome back, big brothers. You guys got back sooner than I expected." Daytona scowled. "Shut it. We did what you wanted. Now give us the soup." Jin gestured to a small dish on the table. "I left some over there." The twins eagerly leaned in, only to freeze in shock. Before them sat 2 tiny spoonfuls of soup. "Hey, little bro," Daytona muttered. Haytona frowned. "Isn't this just a teaspoon?" Daytona huffed. "This is way too little." Jin shrugged, his smirk widening. "But I only said I'd share. I never specified how much. I shared as promised." He leaned back, watching with amusement as the twins glared at him. "Enjoy, big brothers." Through gritted teeth, they muttered in unison, "Thank you so much." Out in the stormy night, Jin watched as the twins' tunnel stretched into the distance. He expected them to have done a half-baked job, but they had followed his instructions well. For this thickness, a 1-star spell should suffice, he thought, pressing his hands against the cold, damp walls. Frustration boiled within him. He had been accumulating mana for so long, with nothing to unleash it on. A pulse of green mana flared to life in his hands. Finally, with a powerful push, he fired his mana into the tunnel wall. The wall shattered, debris crashing down in waves of dust and rubble. As the dust settled, Jin stepped forward, eyes gleaming. "Finally, I'm here." Runcandle's secret library. Jin stood before the heavy doors, his heart pounding. "This is a place I couldn't enter in my past life. It feels a bit strange standing here." He took a deep breath, recalling his older brother's words. "A special activation phrase is required." He nodded once before bowing his head. "A child of Runcandle has come to console Muraken." The doors trembled, then they slowly opened, revealing a vast chamber filled with ancient tomes. A collection of knowledge from the clans Runcandle had collected over the past 1,000 years. "It's huge," Jin murmured, stepping inside. "Only flag bearers are allowed entry." His brother once told him it was pointless to know about this place, since Jin would never be a flag bearer. Jin smirked. "You ended up being helpful in the end, big brother. I'll be using this knowledge well." As he wandered through the towering shelves, a sudden blue light flickered in the distance, catching his attention. "What's that?" He approached cautiously, stopping before a large canister. Inside was a person. Jin's eyes widened. The figure had scales on his face. "Is he not human?" he whispered. His hand hesitated before pressing against the glass. "What's this doing here?" Then a thought struck him. His eyes flew open. Could this be Muraken? Memories of his pledge surfaced in his mind. The Black Dragon Muraken. I heard that the Black Dragon lost to the first patriarch, and then fell into a deep slumber. His breath hitched to think that legend was real. But now wasn't the time for this. He turned away. I need to find the secret tomes first. As Jin walked away, the canister behind him trembled. Inside, the black dragon's fingers twitched. Jin's eyes scanned the bookshelves. "Found it," he whispered, his fingers trailing over the forbidden tomes. The first book he grabbed was from the once great Kungan clan, a family of legendary swordmasters. The content is difficult. A 3-star level theory. He sighed. "I'd love to take these with me, but I could get caught." Instead, he pulled out a notebook and a pen. "I'll copy them, painstakingly, every time I come here." Days passed. Jin studied diligently, poring over the tomes, spending time with Gilly, and even visiting the bird's grave to lay flowers. But one night, a noise. The library door slowly swung open. Jin's breath caught. Who is that? No one else should be here right now. Then, a deep, ominous voice rumbled. "Hey, who are you?" Jin turned. Before him stood a towering figure. Jin's heart pounded. "Mirakin? But in my past life." He never woke up. Panic surged through him, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Mirakin is the clan's guardian dragon. If I act polite and like a clueless child, maybe he'll go easy on me." Shakily, Jin bowed. "As a child of Run Candle, I greet my clan's guardian." Mirakin's expression darkened. "Guardian? Who the hell is a guardian?" A low growl rumbled from his throat. "Did you just call me a guardian?" Jin tensed. Mirakin's rage erupted. "Why do you bastards who know nothing treat me as a guardian? Damn Run Candle. Damn bastards. How dare they spread such lies?" His voice boomed through the library, his anger shaking the very ground. Then he stopped, staring at Jin. "Fucking hell. It's not like I can get mad at this little pipsqueak." Jin, internally, "You're getting mad, though. Muakin sight. Damn it. I got up because I smelled something nice for the first time in ages. And it's just a brat." A tense silence filled the room. Then Mirakin sniffed. "You," he muttered. He stepped closer. "Why do I smell spiritual energy on you?" Jin blinked. "Spiritual energy?" Mirakin's eyes narrowed. "Yeah, even after 1,000 years, I still remember this smell. Only contractors like Timar had this scent." Jin's breath hitched. "So that's why he woke up?" Mirakin's eyes glowed. "Where is it coming from? Over here?" Jin smirked. "Then why don't I test something out?" He summoned a flame of spiritual energy. "Are you talking about this?" he asked. "My father said this is the power of the god of shadows, Sadaret." Mirakin froze. "What?" His expression contorted in shock. "Sadaret? No way. You've got to be kidding me. The promised 1,000-year contractor is really this tiny brat." A heavy silence filled the room. Then Mirakin sighed. "Well, kid." Jin looked up. "Yes, Sir Mirakin?" Mirakin scoffed. "I have a promise with Sadaret, and the person I have to help according to that promise is you, I think." Jin thinks to himself, "A promise with Sadaret? I'll tell you the details later. I just woke up, so I'm a bit scrambled, and I think this will be a bit hard for a kid your age to understand. Well, I guess I should formally introduce myself to Sadaret's contractor. I am Mirakin, Sadaret's proxy, his friend, and the last descendant of the first beings of Shadow, according to the 1,000-year promise. Starting today, I will be with you." Jin's eyes widened. "He will be with me?" Mirakin smirked. "Tell me your name, Sadaret's contractor." Jin grinned. "Jin Run Candle." Their fist and claw met. "I'm the 13th and youngest child of Run Candle. Black Dragon Mirakin. The mountain where Storm Castle stands was originally named after the powerful Black Dragon Mirakin, who ruled over the land for many years. However, 1,000 years ago, Mirakin lost a battle against Timar Run Candle, the first patriarch of the Run Candle clan. After conceding Mount Mirakin and Storm Castle, the mighty dragon fell into a deep slumber. Yet, Jin thought to himself, Mirakin wasn't truly an enemy. Instead, he was the guardian dragon and close ally of the first patriarch. A contractor of a god is usually accompanied by a guardian dragon. Yet knowledge of Sadaret's dragon had always been shrouded in mystery. But now, it made sense. Muraken had been asleep all this time. With Muraken awake, Jin wondered, do I now have a guardian dragon too? Muraken, I'm back. You're back, Muraken acknowledged. Jin knew that from now on, he would be with Muraken, so he needed to ask all the questions he had about the dragon in advance. Months had passed since Muraken awakened, and Jin had been regularly visiting the secret library. Why did you fight Timar? Jin asked. That was 1,000 years ago, Muraken scoffed. How do you expect me to remember that? Through his time with Muraken, Jin had discovered one thing. The dragon was obsessed with strawberry pie. More importantly, is this all the strawberry pies? Muraken asked eagerly. Muraken sighed. 1, 2, 3. What? Only 7 of them. Muraken's disappointment was palpable. By the way, what do you do when you come here? Muraken inquired. I transcribe the tomes, Jin explained. I write them down to take with me, because if I were to remove the secret tomes, my visits here might be discovered. Really? So, do you understand them? About 30%, Jin admitted. No more than that. Don't get too upset. You're doing great for your age, Muraken reassured him. The others are just bumming around since they can't even do what you're doing. That's not the only case, Jin replied. I am a run candle. This is the bare minimum expected of me. I have 12 older siblings, a father, a mother, and the elders. If I want to surpass them, I need to achieve more. Jin hesitated before asking. Muraken, if it were the first patriarch, how much of this book would he have understood? If I compare myself to the greatest figure in our history, where do I stand? Muraken smirked. Timar? When he was your age, he couldn't even comprehend a single sentence from that book. Jin's eyes widened in shock. But theory isn't the same as real battle, Muraken continued. He fought well without reading such books. You also have talent like Timar, but not as much as him. Jin's expression darkened. Then, will I ever be able to become like the first patriarch? Muraken was silent for a moment before finally speaking. You are Sodaret's contractor, just like Timar. You also have the intelligence to read a book like that. But you're still just a kid. Train nonstop and don't be impatient. If you do that, you may become as strong as Timar. Or perhaps even surpass him. Jin's eyes flickered with determination. You think so? Of course, kid, Muraken said. Do you know Sodaret's nickname? Jin shook his head. No, I don't. Infinite, Muraken stated. Like Sodaret's power, your potential as his contractor has no limit. So don't be a downer. Cheer up. I'll teach you a new skill to lift your spirits. Jin's eyes gleamed with excitement. What is it? Spiritual release. Spiritual release? Jin repeated. What's that? It's a fundamental skill for beings who wield spiritual power, Muraken explained. It's both the beginning and the pinnacle of spiritual mastery. However, it's extremely dangerous if used without proper training. You need to take your time and learn it carefully. Jin nodded. I understand. What do I need to do first? First, you need to learn mana release. Jin blinked. Mana release? Why? While thinking that I've done that hundreds of times in my past life. Spiritual release requires mastery of both mana release and mana transfer, Muraken said. You need to be proficient in both before advancing. You'll be training these skills for the next 2 to 3 years. Jin's face stiffened. 2 to 3 years? That's too long. I can't teach you advanced skills if you don't even know the basics, Muraken retorted. Without hesitation, Jin gathered mana into his palm. Here, can I learn it now? Muraken's eyes widened in shock. Wait, how did you do that? I've been able to do it for a while, Jin answered casually. Don't tell me. Can you also perform mana transfer? Jin demonstrated mana transfer effortlessly. Muraken stared at him, dumbfounded. Damn, only the brightest geniuses can do that. You really are talented. All right, I'll show you what spiritual release really looks like. Jin's anticipation grew. Spiritual power originates from the shadows, Muraken explained. Every shadow in this world is born from Sodaret's will. As he spoke, shadows from candlesticks, pillars, and books converged toward him, swirling in a dark vortex. Sodaret is the master of all shadows in the world, Muraken continued. And you are his sole contractor. The shadows condensed into a massive ray before being released in a spectacular burst. So, you can also become the master of all shadows. Jin, awestruck, marveled at the display. Muraken grinned. Well, kid, that's spiritual release. Later, deep in the forest, Lady Luna had just finished slaying a monster. A soldier approached her. Lady Luna, this area has been cleared. The mission will be complete once we clear 5 more areas. Luna nodded. Yes, I think 4 months should be enough. Tell the knights to rest up. As she wiped the monster's blood off her blade, a thought struck her. By the way, she asked, what do 9-year-old children usually like? Half a year after I met Muraken, the Taiken twins turned 10 years old and left the Storm Castle. We're leaving. See you later, said the Taiken twins. Okay, said Jin. As for me, I had my birthday. Gilly called out, Young master. He turned around to see her holding a cake. Happy 9th birthday. I became 9 years old, he said. Thanks, everyone. Gilly, can you share the cake with everyone? Yes, young master, said Gilly. A man burst into the room. Young Master Jin. Khan, said Jin. Sorry for the sudden interruption. What is it? Asked Jin. Well, Lady Luna came for a visit. This shocked both Gilly and Jin. The Runcandle clan's first flag bearer and a 9-star knight, the eldest among the 13 siblings, the white whale, Luna Runcandle. Despite being the strongest of the Runcandle siblings, she abandoned her desire to become the future patriarch and stepped aside from the Runcandle's ruthless war of succession. She was truly a white whale that moved alone. Because of that, Big Sister Luna had never shown any interest in any of us siblings, to the point where she felt more like a stranger than family. There had always been such a great distance between us. For Big Sister to come to the Storm Castle out of nowhere. Did something happen to our clan? Or perhaps, did she find out that I've been entering the secret library? As Jin approached Luna, he said, Big Sister Luna, you're growing a lot, little brother. Jin said, if you had given me a bit of notice, I would have worn something more proper for your visit. Luna chuckled and rubbed his head. That's cute, but do I need to give notice to see my little brother? Jin was shocked. Luna continued, for some reason, you seem uncomfortable. Are you sick? Jin replied, it's not that. I'm just a bit nervous. Luna looked surprised. You're nervous? Jin continued. This is the first time I've seen you up close, so I can't help but be a bit on edge. Luna thought to herself, it's a Runcandle family custom for siblings to crush and take from each other. Does Jin think I've come here to keep him in check? She clenched her fist and sat in silence for a moment, her head down. I see, she finally said. It seems I was inconsiderate. Jin's eyes widened. What do you mean? She continued. You might be young, but I forgot that you're still a member of the Runcandle clan. I'm sorry. Jin, my youngest brother, I'd like to speak with you in private. Can I ask your nanny and guardian knights to step aside? Jin thought to himself. Big Sister wants to speak with just me? Yes, Big Sister, he said aloud. While he thought, I don't know the reason, but it doesn't seem like a bad thing. After everyone cleared the room, Luna said, Jin, my youngest sibling, the reason I came to visit you out of the blue is because I have something to tell you. What is it that you want to tell me? Jin asked. When Father came to visit you, your display made all the siblings start paying attention to you. This means that the moment you leave the Storm Castle, all of them will be on guard against you, keeping you in check. But Jin, I don't want you to be caught in the fight between family and miss out on happiness. I'd like for you to not be pained by the filthy customs of the Runcandle clan. Jin sat in silence, thinking this is the big reason why Big Sister gave up on becoming the patriarch. She didn't want me to get hurt in the fight between siblings. Why didn't she just give me a warning in my past life? Was it because I wasn't worth giving such advice to before? Or perhaps, was it because the other siblings didn't view me as a competitor back then? Jin patted her hand. Big Sister, I'm thankful for your words, but I have no intention of staying out of this fight. Luna's face darkened. Jin, I'm being serious. I'm not telling you this because I think you'll be a threat to me later. Jin said, I know that, Big Sister, but I've already experienced an assassination attempt. Luna's expression turned sharp. What? Jin continued. That's why, even more so, I'm invested in this fight. Luna began to emit an ominous purple aura that put Jin on guard. Are you saying that, even at the Storm Castle, a sibling tried to murder you? With a crazed look in her eye, she asked, "Tell me, Jin, who tried to kill you?" Jin said, "I can't tell you. No, to be honest, I haven't uncovered who it was yet. They made an attempt, but look, I'm fine." Luna said, Jin continued, "In fact, I'm happy that you helped me realize that not all my siblings hate me." Luna sat in silence. "Jin, my fair little brother, in that case, you've already fallen into the filth of our clan. I'm so saddened by that fact." She pulled him into a hug. Jin thought to himself, for big sister Luna to be such a heartfelt person. Aloud, he said, "Don't be sad." Luna smiled. "You're right. I shouldn't only talk about such things on a happy day like today. Today is your birthday. I actually came here to give you a present." She opened up her jacket and pulled out a pendant. "Here, why don't you turn around for a bit?" "Okay," said Jin. "Just once, if you're ever in a situation that you can't handle, smash the blue gem on your pendant. No matter where you are, I'll come find you right away." She continued, "So don't forget it. And always keep it on you. Happy 9th birthday, Jin." "Thank you, big sis," said Jin. Gilly brought some strawberry cake, and Luna fed Jin a piece while they talked. Gilly looked on happily at the scene. Luna said, "I have to get going now." Jin said, "Yes. Have a safe trip." The door to the secret library opened. Murakan said, "Hey, you're back, brat. What's that around your neck?" Jin said, "I got it as a birthday present." Murakan flusteredly said, "I don't know who gave it to you, but they must value you a lot to give you such a thing." Jin said, "What is this?" Murakan said, "It's an item of the demonic beast king, Ulta. 1,000 years ago, countless people died trying to get their hands on it." Jin said, "It's really that amazing of an object?" Murakan said, "Of course. It grants immunity to any magic attack below 5-star, strengthens the holder's magic abilities, and I think it even has a summoning function." Jin said, "You really know your stuff." Murakan said, "Well, I was around during that period, and he was a pretty well-known demon. Anyway, I'm assuming the owner of that powerful energy I sensed earlier gave it to you." "Yep, my elder sister came." "Wait, you could feel her energy all the way in here?" "Yeah, your sister should have also felt my energy too." Jin exclaimed, "What? You don't think she'll tell the clan, right?" Murakan said, "You're worried about nothing. She's a big sister who gave you a valuable present like that. Do you think she'd really tattle on her youngest brother?" Jin said, "You think?" Murakan said, "For sure. You can definitely trust her. I thought my time spent in Storm Castle would be boring, but I gained more than I ever expected. My father's recognition and expectations, the phoenix heart I received from my big sister Mary, my connections with big sister Luna, and even my meeting with the guardian dragon, Murakan, these were all things I couldn't have dreamed of in my previous life. And thus I turned 10. Jin sparred with Khan, his instructor, throwing a punch that was blocked by Khan's elbow. Soon, I would be leaving Thorn Castle and preparing to return home. Khan and Jin continued to trade blows, each blocking and countering the other. Khan stopped Jin's strike with his palm, which made him think deeply. As expected, he's someone the Patriarch would take an interest in. I'm the one evaluating him. But in his eyes, I'm the one being evaluated instead. Khan finally said, "We're done with training for today." Jin nodded. "Okay, young master," Khan continued. "What is it? Was there a problem with the training just now?" Jin asked. Khan bowed his head. "It has been an honor to instruct you all this time. There isn't much time left until you leave Storm Castle. I promise to provide you with the best training possible until then." Jin smiled slightly. "All right, I'll be in your care until the end." That night, Jin stuck his finger into a candle flame, feeling its warmth. "Finally," he murmured. Gilly rushed over. "Young master, oh my, isn't that hot?" Jin shook his head. "No, it just feels like warm water now." Gilly chuckled. "I'm glad Lady Mary's gift is taken to you well." Gilly nodded. "I've only heard about what Phoenix Hearts can do. This is my first time seeing the effects myself." "Same here," Jin replied, thinking to himself, "I've absorbed about half of it. I bet I'll absorb the rest in a few years." Gilly then said, Young master, we will be leaving the castle early tomorrow morning. Let me know ahead of time if you need anything. Jin nodded. Yeah, okay. As he packed his belongings, Gilly noticed a notebook. Young master, should I pack these books separately? Yes. I'm going to read them on the way. Understood. Is there anything else I should pack separately? No, just those books are fine. Understood. I'll also prepare a strawberry pie for dessert today. Jin smiled. Yeah, okay. Later, as he prepared to leave, Jin said, Gilly, I'm going out for a second. Right now? Why? Sorry. I'll be right back. Jin snuck off to the secret library and opened the door. Muraken. The black dragon stirred. Oh, you kid. You're here. You remember that we're leaving the castle tomorrow, right? Of course, Muraken said. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Jin crossed his arms. How do you plan on following me? Muraken snorted. Don't sweat the small stuff, kid. I'm the legendary black dragon. No matter how weakened I am, this kind of thing is a piece of cake. I'll follow you carefully so I don't get caught. Jin frowned. You're weakened? Why would you tell me something so important just now? Come on, I've been asleep for 1,000 years. You think I'd be in perfect shape? Jin asked. Then can you regain your strength? Of course. I'll grow stronger as you grow stronger. Muraken smirked. I'm your guardian dragon after all. So hurry up and become a powerful magic swordsman already. Jin's expression hardened. You said the Run Candles were originally a family of magic swordsmen, didn't you? I remember hearing it from Sadaret in my previous life. The Run Candle clan was once a family of magic swordsmen, and the first patriarch was the strongest of them all. But no one knows that fact anymore. Mulaken sight. The reason the Run Candles banned magic and enforced that whole focus on the blade nonsense was because of a humiliating oath from 1,000 years ago. People still praise me as the family's guardian, but I'm sure they'd be incredibly uncomfortable if I actually showed up. If this were 1,000 years ago, they'd be in awe at the sight of us together. Jin raised an eyebrow. Would the Run Candles really have reacted like that? Muraken scoffed. Is the story too far-fetched for you? In any case, I'll be sure to hide well, so don't worry. Got it, Jin said. Then what are you going to do about this place? If someone comes here and finds it empty, you'll be discovered. Muraken waved a claw. I can probably use draconic magic to create a duplicate of myself in here. And what if the duplicate gets found out? Muraken huffed. Hey, I'm the Storm Dragon, you know? Making a duplicate of myself is easy. I could do it in my sleep. No worries. He then added, of course, since I don't have my full strength yet, maintaining it for a long time will be difficult. But I'll do my best until you get older. Jin smiled. All right. Thanks for being so considerate. He pulled out a small bundle. I actually brought you something special today. Murakan berked up. Something special? Pie, Jin said. The first strawberry batch of the year. And some wine I snuck behind Gilly's back. Muraken's mouth watered. What? Jin smirked. Don't get drunk and mess up your duplicate or something. Muraken grinned. Who do you take me for? You adorable little rascal. I'm glad I raised you. By the way, can you introduce me to your nanny? Jin rolled his eyes. Let me think about it. Later that night, Gilly said, Young master, when you return home, you can't expect the carefree and uneventful time you had in Storm Castle. Of course, you were busy with training here, but life will be much more difficult and busier back home. I also won't be able to make pies for you whenever you want. Jin nodded. Don't worry, I'll work hard when I get back. Gilly smiled. Yes, and I will continue to do my part as well. Soon after, a man approached. Young Master Jin. 2 knights stood before him. They bowed. Guardian Knights Jerome and Holt at your service. Until you reach the Garden of Swords, we shall escort you. Jin took a deep breath. Okay, I'm in your care. Let's go. On October 30th, 1790, I finally left Storm Castle and headed toward the Run Candle's main house, the Garden of Swords. Inside the carriage, Jin sat quietly, immersed in his book. Gilly glanced out the window, her expression shifting with concern. Oh my, the snow's picking up, she murmured. It looks like it'll start piling up fast. We may need to wait it out in the nearby village. Jin barely looked up. We can't use the transfer gate if it snows too much, right? Gilly nodded. That's right. Suddenly, the carriage lurched to a halt, nearly throwing Jin and Gilly off balance. Panic shot through them. What's going on? Jin asked sharply. One of the guards outside called out. It's an ambush. Please remain inside the carriage. Gilly instinctively pulled Jin close, holding him protectively. It's all right, young master. Don't worry. Jerome and Holt are 7-star guardian knights, and you also have me by your side. Outside, shouts echoed through the snow-covered forest. Catch them. Gilly's eyes sharpened as she assessed the situation. I count at least 20 warriors and magicians. There's a chance they have archers as well. Jin frowned. You don't think there's anyone above the 7-star level? No, Gilly replied. If there were, Jerome and Holt wouldn't be holding them off so easily. A sudden realization struck Jin, his pulse quickening. Gilly, we have to get out of the carriage. Now! Gilly blinked. What? Why? Jin's voice hardened. A guardian knight of Runsendal would never leave behind a child of Runsendal. One of them should have stayed behind with us at all times. Gilly's breath caught. The implications were terrifying. Which means, Jin continued, they're either imposters or traitors. His gaze flicked around the carriage. There could also be some sort of hidden device here. We need to escape. Gilly exhaled sharply, nodding. Understood, young master. She flexed her fingers, claws extending. From this moment forward, as a servant of Runsendal, I will protect you, even if I must be rough. With a swift slash, she tore through the carriage wall. Snow and wind rushed in as she leaped outside, gripping Jin tightly as she sprinted through the storm. Young master, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. I will accept any punishment for this once we return to the clan's main house. Jin shook his head. Now isn't the time to worry about that. We need to find Jerome and Holt. There's something I need to confirm. Gilly glanced at him. Confirm what? Jin's eyes were cold. The ones attacking us might actually be our allies. Gilly's brows furrowed. What do you mean? If they truly wanted to kill me, the moment I left the carriage would have been the best chance, Jin explained. But it's too quiet. Realization dawned on Gilly's face. I see. All right, young master. Let's move toward the commotion. Through the snow, a commanding voice rang out. Find Jin Runsendal. Group 3, block the left flank. Jin's eyes narrowed. As I thought, Gilly's sharp gaze caught sight of the enemy's insignias. A leaf emblem and a black beast emblem. The Yuta clan, the men of Middle, and the Black King mercenaries. A voice called out from ahead. There, it's Gilly McRoland. Jin Runsendal has been confirmed alive. Prioritize his protection. A red-haired man stepped forward, his aura imposing. I am the vice captain of the 3rd Corps of the Black King mercenaries. We've come to rescue Jin Runsendal upon the Runsendal clan's request. From behind, 2 figures, the supposed guardian knights, gritted their teeth. You bastards, one hissed. The red-haired man's expression twisted in fury. How dare you try to harm the young master? Jin clenched his fists. It wasn't betrayal. They were fakes. If Jerome and Holt were true 7-star knights, they wouldn't have been defeated so easily. The imposters had been exposed. The mercenaries closed in, surrounding the 2 traitors. Gilly's voice was cold and commanding. Who are you? Reveal your affiliation and objective. One of the imposters smirked. Such a predictable question. You think we'd reveal the truth to a Runsendal dog? Gilly glanced at Jin. What should we do, young master? Jin's voice was chilling. Kill one, cut off the arms of the other, and bring him to me. Gilly didn't hesitate. As you command. Her eyes glowed with a predatory light as she lunged forward. In an instant, one imposter's throat was slashed, blood spraying into the snow. The other barely had time to react before Gilly severed his left arm in a single stroke. He screamed, falling to his knees, clutching the bleeding stump. But she wasn't done. With ruthless precision, she sliced off his right arm as well. The man collapsed, his body trembling in shock. Gilly pressed her foot against his chest, staring down at him with cold detachment before grabbing him by the hair and dragging him to Jin. Jin looked down at the whimpering man. Your master underestimated his opponents far too much. He turned to the mercenaries. To become a nanny of Runsendal, one must be at least a 7-star martial artist. If they truly wanted to assassinate a child of Runsendal, they should have sent at least 3 or 4 8-star knights. The imposter coughed, glaring at him. Don't make me laugh. This was just a warning. The era of Runsendal will come to an end. Jin smirked. Oh, I actually agree with you. Rather than the era of Runsendal, I want the era of Jin Runsendal to begin. The words sent the imposter into a rage. You arrogant brat, he spat. Glory to the great Zipfuls. Jin's eyes darkened. So it was the Zipfuls. The Zipfuls, rulers of half the world. While the Runsendals sought the peak of swordsmanship, the Zipfuls pursued the pinnacle of magic. 1,000 years ago, after the death of the first Runsendal patriarch, the Zipfuls forced a humiliating oath upon the clan, one that sealed away their magic forever. Since then, the Runsendals and Zipfuls had been mortal enemies. Jin tilted his head, regarding the man with cold amusement. I was wondering who would be bold enough to attempt something like this. So, you're nothing more than a Zipful pawn. He turned to Gilly. Throw him away somewhere. He's not worth questioning. Understood. Gilly released the man, letting him collapse into the snow. The imposter's voice shook with rage. You arrogant bastard. Jin remained unfazed. The Zipfuls and Runsendals have been at war for centuries, but today's attack, something about it feels different. This wasn't their usual method. These must be the actions of extremists. His brows furrowed, but something still isn't right. Even with the best disguise, tricking a 7-star martial artist shouldn't be this easy. A thought crept into his mind. Could it be interference from that guy? Gilly stood at attention, her gaze steady. I've done as you ordered, young master. Jin nodded in approval. Well done, Gilly. He then turned to the red-haired man. Are you Marka, the vice captain of the Black King mercenaries? The man gave a firm nod. I am. It was thanks to your diversion that we were able to escape, Jin acknowledged. Once we arrive at our home, I will speak of your deeds. The clan will reward you handsomely. Until we reach the transfer gate, I leave my safety in your hands. Marka inclined his head. I will do my best. Yet, inwardly, he mused, what kind of kid is he? Even though he's a child of Runsendal, this was his first time leaving the castle. He was only 10, yet he carried himself with an ease and dignity that even seasoned warriors lacked. Perhaps his words earlier, about ushering in a new era, were not mere childish fancy. His voice hardened. You know, everyone listen up. Mind your actions until we reach the gate. No crude words either. Understood? The Black King mercenaries exchanged glances, clearly displeased. What's with this stuck-up order, boss? We never cared about that before. Just shut up and do as I say. Marka snapped. Gilly interjected. Vice Captain Marka, I believe we can move now. Marka sighed. All right, let's go. As they walked, Gilly hesitated before asking, is it okay to leave those imposters behind? Jin's expression remained cold. It'll be fine. Whether they're found dead or alive, they'll serve as an example to their comrades. She bowed slightly. Understood, young master. There's a village about 2 hours from here, Gilly noted. Jin raised a brow. Really? Then we'll wait there until the snow stops. After a pause, he turned to Gilly. By the way, don't be too upset about what happened. It wasn't your mistake. Even a 9-star knight couldn't detect the imposters, let alone a 7-star warrior like you. Gilly lowered her head. I apologize. Jin observed her solemn expression, his thoughts drifting to his past life. You never change, Gilly. The Runsendal nannies shared the fate of their charges. In his previous life, Gilly had been exiled alongside him. Though the clan looked down on her because of him, she had never once blamed him. Even on the day of his exile, she had bowed her head and apologized for failing him. That was who she was. He knew he had to toughen her up this time. Gilly, he said sharply, I forbid you from blaming yourself. That is an order. You may be my nanny, but right now, you are also my only guardian. If you let yourself get caught up in trivial matters, you will struggle as my escort in the future. Gilly's eyes widened. Young master. So, don't make me repeat myself. Understand? She straightened. Yes, young master. I will do my best. As they continued their journey, Gilly's thoughts softened. Young master cares for me so much. He said those words just for me. I must stay vigilant so I don't cause him any more trouble. Jin glanced at her. Good. She seems to have cheered up. Upon reaching the village, they were greeted by an innkeeper. Welcome. How many rooms do you need? Marka answered too. Jin's thoughts turned to the imposters. If my suspicion is correct, then there's a high chance he was involved. Bouvard Gaston. Transformation was a dragon's privilege, yet not all dragons could do it perfectly. Only Bouvard had mastered it, using his ability to sow chaos throughout the world. In Jin's past life, Bouvard had been arrested by the Vermont Special Forces when he was 20. If he's truly involved, this could be a problem. He hasn't done anything too drastic yet, but if I make him my ally, he could be useful. Still, I have no reason to take in someone who has already drawn their blade against me. He resolved to observe before making any decisions. As Jin settled into his room, Gilly stood at the door. Young master, I'll be outside if you need me. Jin, already slipping into sleep, barely nodded. Gilly smiled. He's still just a child. Suddenly, a cat's tail flicked against the window, followed by a soft meow. Half asleep, Jin grumbled, so noisy. When he finally opened his eyes, he frowned. Did I fall asleep? Even after all that training at Storm Castle, I guess it's still too much for a 10-year-old body. Then, his ears caught the faint sound again. What's with that noise? Looking toward the window, he saw a cat staring at him. He blinked. Don't tell me. That's Marka. He recalled Marka's words from before. I won't have any trouble hiding. Jin narrowed his eyes. So, when you said you'd follow me, you meant by turning into a cat. The cat's fur bristled in irritation, and it let out an angry growl. Jin raised his hands. Okay. I'm sorry. It just wasn't what I expected. The cat leapt into the room, and in an instant, Marka transformed back into his human form. If I had disguised myself as a horseman or servant, your clan's knights would have noticed immediately. How else could I follow you? At that moment, he slipped on the wooden floor, hitting his head against the window ledge. The loud thud drew Gilly's attention. She burst into the room, blades drawn. Young master, are you all right? She caught sight of Marka groaning on the floor and Jin looking guilty. Her expression darkened. You fool! How dare you sneak into the young master's room? Speak before I tear you apart. Who are you? What is your purpose? Jin quickly intervened. Wait, Gilly! This person is... Before he could finish, Marka groaned, clutching his head. Gilly? Did he say Gilly? His expression lit up. My strawberry pie. We finally meet. Gilly recoiled in horror. Strawberry pie? Jin buried his face in his hands. We're screwed. Jin introduced him. First of all, this is Runcandle's guardian, the Black Dragon, Murakan. Before he could continue, Murakan interrupted, grinning. I know. She's my precious strawberry pie. Gilly immediately bowed her head. This lowly servant of Runcandle has been disrespectful to the guardian. Please forgive me. Murakan waved a hand dismissively. Worry not, my strawberry pie. I shall gladly forgive you. Gilly hesitated. Little Murakan, may I ask why you call me that? Because you make those wonderful, amazing, perfectly delicious strawberry pies. Gilly's eyes twitched. So you're the reason young master has been asking for pies every day? Jin sighed. Why don't you sit down? I'll explain everything. After hearing the full story, Gilly let out a long breath. I see. I didn't know, young master. Sorry for tricking you all this time, Gilly. No, there's no need to apologize, she said with a small smile. I always knew you had exceptional talent, young master. Magic, a contract with Soderette, and a dragon. As your nanny, I'm overjoyed. Jin's expression turned serious. Whatever the case, you're now a partner in crime. The clan can't know that Murakan is awake, or that he and I are connected. Got it? Gilly straightened. Yes, young master. I shall be careful. Murakan chuckled. You don't have to be so nervous, strawberry pie. Thank you for your concern, little Murakan. Then she furrowed her brows. Wait, So the loud noise earlier was because your transformation was undone. Murakin scratched his head. Well, actually, I tripped. Gilly turned to Jin, her voice low with concern. Young master, will it really be okay to trust him? Jin glanced at Murakin, then shrugged. Probably. At the Mattel Kingdom transfer gate, Gilly turned to the Black King mercenaries. Thank you for everything. The compensation for this job will be paid by the Run Candle clan at a later date. Marcus nodded. Thank you. This was a valuable experience for us. We look forward to the future of the young Run Candle you serve. Then, after a brief pause, he turned back to Gilly. Gilly McRoland, may I ask you something? Yes. Why did someone as skilled as you leave the McRoland clan to become a nanny for a young Run Candle? A shadow passed over Gilly's face. She remained silent for a moment, then finally said, There's no reason worth mentioning. Marcus studied her, but nodded. I see. I apologize for my rudeness. If it's okay. Farewell, then. The transfer gate clerk greeted them with enthusiasm. Welcome. Could you show me your identification? Gilly handed it over. Send us to Carlin in the Hephaestus Alliance. The clerk's eyes widened. A servant of Run Candle? What an honor. Please come this way. We'll take you to the special seating area. If you wait here for 2 more hours, you'll arrive in the blink of an eye. Have a comfortable journey. As they sat down, Gilly turned to Jin, her expression serious. Young master. Yes, this nanny is quite worried. Jin raised a brow. About what? You could probably resolve any situation if you were found out. But Lord Murakin and other matters. You mean magic? She nodded. Yes, that's the one thing that no one in the Run Candle clan will tolerate. Jin's gaze sharpened. Don't worry. I know. We'll hide it well. Just then, the door to the transfer waiting area opened. Jin turned to look, and his eyes widened. A golden dragon emblem. White hair. Purple eyes. That's a Zipful. A boy sat down across from him. Jin studied him, trying to place his face. The boy smirked. No wonder I didn't feel like going to Hephaestus. Who would have thought I'd meet such pests here? Gilly glared in silence. The boy then turned to Murakin, who was still in his cat form. Oh, at least your cat is cute. Come here, little guy. The cat padded up to him, then suddenly scratched his palm. The boy yelped. Young master, his guard shouted, reaching for his sword. The boy shook his head. No, it's fine. It was just an animal acting on instinct. He then chuckled to himself. I guess picking a fight wasn't the best idea. Jin studied him, his mind working. He tried to provoke me out of curiosity, but when I didn't react, he backed off. So the youngest Zipful is cool-headed. The boy cleared his throat. I am Baradin Zipful. I'd like to apologize for my rudeness earlier. He extended his hand. Jin's eyes narrowed. Baradin Zipful, a genius magician, a strong contender for the Zipful Patriarch seat, admired by young magicians for his skills and noble character. A figure who once felt so distant when I was a magician myself. To think I'd meet him while we were both children. This is an unfamiliar feeling. I see, Jin said at last. I was curious what kind of person you were. I'm glad you're not just an idiot. Baradin tilted his head. What about me made you think that? If your men had actually drawn their swords, you would have been stranded in Hephaestus without escorts. And depending on how things played out, you might have even lost 2 fingers. Baradin let out a sharp laugh. What a scary joke. Jin's gaze was ice cold. Do you think I'm joking? Baradin chuckled again. Well, fair enough. But let me give you some advice. If you ever run into another Zipful and a similar situation arises, don't rashly cut off their fingers or something like that. It could cause trouble between our clans. Jin smirked. Now that's a funny joke, Baradin Zipful. Do you honestly think my father, Siren Runcandle, or your father, Kellyark Zipful, would care about a fight between children? Baradin considered this, then shrugged. True. Even if fingers were cut off, I suppose it would just end with a few gold coins in compensation. He smirked. Well, you taught me something today. I'll make sure to repay this favor someday. I'll pass on someday. Pay it now. Baradin chuckled. All right, gladly. As the transfer gate powered up, Jin sighed. Until the gate activates, I'd appreciate it if you remained quiet. Don't disturb my rest. Baradin watched him, thoughtful. Jin Runcandle. I have a feeling he'll grow into quite the formidable man. If not for our clans, I might have asked him to be my friend. Actually, since he is a Runcandle, perhaps he'll be my greatest rival. Jin exhaled, closing his eyes. What an annoying guy, acting so smug when he almost lost his fingers. There really is something wrong with the Zipfuls. An announcement rang out. Thank you for waiting. Teleportation will commence. Faintness may occur due to the ripple effect. Please remain seated. As they prepared for the transfer, Baradin suddenly grinned. Jin Runcandle, I had fun today. Let's meet again. Jin sighed. Pass. Let's never meet again. The transfer gate activated, and in the blink of an eye, they were gone. Only those who have contributed to the prosperity of Runcandle are given the chance to place their sword in the Garden of Swords. It is a sacred place, symbolizing the dreams and honor of all Runcandles. There was a time when I, too, wished to place my sword here upon my death. But in my past life, I was weak. Not only did I lack talent, but I also couldn't take the lead, nor was I sharp enough. So why did I think I could achieve greatness with just hard work? This time, things will be different. At least in this life, I will make living in this wretched place worthwhile. Admiring the grand architecture, Jin stepped into the great hall where his siblings and father resided. A woman greeted him. Long time no see, Jin. It was the Black Panther, Rosa Runcandle, the lady of the house. Yes, mother, Jin replied. Her gaze shifted to the small black cat at his feet. The patriarch also took notice and asked, Jin, did you pick it up off the streets? I adopted him, father, Jin answered. His father raised a brow. Adopted rather than picked up, you say? I like your bold answer. A Runcandle must have such posture when they claim something. My son, what's his name? It's Nabi Runcandle, mother. One of his siblings, Dipus, scoffed. What? Father, mother? I understand that Jin is still young, but this is unacceptable. How could he give the Runcandle name to a lowly animal? Turning to Gilly, Dipus sneered. How did you raise Jin to let him name a mere cat like this? Gilly bowed her head. I apologize. Enough, the patriarch commanded. He looked back at Jin. Why did you give the Runcandle name to this cat? Jin met his father's gaze. So that I'd be responsible for him. He may be just an animal, but as the first life I've ever taken under my care, I felt his name should bear a heavy weight. His father chuckled. Interesting. But Jin, do you understand the true weight of the Runcandle name? Yes, Jin said without hesitation. If someone were to harm Nabi, that would mean you must bear the consequences, his father continued. Jin nodded. I understand. His father grinned. You have a talent for making enemies, Jin. Look at how your siblings are glaring at you. Jin smirked. It seems so, but I should also have a talent for killing my enemies, father. His father burst into laughter. Well then, I suppose everyone should be on edge, knowing how brazen our youngest child is. 4 years later, early summer of 1794, you've worked hard today, young master, said the instructor. Jin, now 14 years old, a 2-star knight and a beginner class cadet, wiped the sweat from his brow. We're only doing morning training today? That's right, his instructor replied. Lady Luna's training is scheduled for today. Did you forget? Jin's instructor, Garen Altamira, was responsible for training the Runcandle Beginner Guardian Knight cadets. All right, Jin said. I'll go after I eat. Will you be dining with the cadets today as well? Garen asked. Madame Rosa seems disappointed. Jin shook his head. It's fine. I don't want to spend my meals silently fighting with my siblings. I understand, Garen said. I'll relay the message. A short while later, Jin sat in his quarters when a young man entered. Young master, I brought your food. Thanks, Bellup. It's nothing, young master, Bellup Schmitz replied with a nervous chuckle. Bellup Schmitz, a 13-year-old commoner, was a cadet in the beginner class of Guardian Knights. Jin studied him silently. Bellup is at the bottom of his class. Soon, he'll be disqualified, stripped of his right as a cadet, and expelled. After that, he'll end up joining another Swordmaster clan in the Romite Empire and become a heartless masked killer, an Imperial Hound. I remember hearing about his fate in my past life. It was shocking to learn he had joined the Imperial Guard, but what saddened me most was how he took his own life in the end. Is the food good? Jin asked. Bellup, his mouth full, nodded enthusiastically. Yes, I'm really grateful to be sharing a meal with you, young master. Enough, Jin interrupted. You said that yesterday too. Did you memorize that line or something? Bellup chuckled awkwardly. Bellup, Jin said, you need to be more concise when you speak. People look down on you because you ramble too much. Bellup blinked. Is that so? Jin nodded. Yeah, stand upright and have some pride. You're a guardian knight, cadet of Run Candle. Bellup hesitated. But my grades are at the bottom. I'm not even a 1-star knight yet. Becoming a Run Candle cadet is already a difficult feat, Jin said firmly. Even if you're at the bottom here, you're still an elite compared to most 13-year-olds in the world. Do you understand? Bellup's eyes widened. Then he nodded. Yes, young master. Jin observed him in silence. It's no surprise the clan has already given up on him. He's too timid. But how did this meek boy go on to join a high-ranking Swordmaster clan and serve the Romite Empire's royal family? How did he become that ruthless mass killer? Living one tragic life was enough for him. I can't just leave him as he is. Jin handed him a piece of his food. I don't have much of an appetite. Here, eat my share. Bellup's eyes brightened. Young master, thank you so much. Jin smirked. I'll make sure you don't get disqualified and expelled this time. I won't let you walk that same unfortunate path. They continued eating, chatting more freely as time passed. Later that day, Jin stood in the training hall, deep in thought. Spiritual energy is at 2 stars. Mana is at 4 stars. Swordsmanship is at 2 stars as well. Things are progressing smoothly. At this rate, I'll reach 3-star swordsman in just 2 years. But before that, there's something else I must do. A familiar voice called out to him. My dear little brother. Jin turned to see his sister Luna approaching with a confident smile. Today's training will be the same as yesterday, she said. But you must approach it differently every day. I understand, big sister, Jin replied. Good. Then use your mind's eye. Watch with your mind's eye. Jin narrowed his eyes. Mind's eye training. Something I've never encountered before in my past life. I'll have to figure this one out on my own. Thanks for tuning in to NoLimitRecaps. If you enjoyed today's recap, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to avoid missing any of our future videos. If you want this manhwa's next part, drop it in the comments. Got a favorite manhwa or a series you want me to cover next? Drop it in the comments below. Your suggestions keep this channel growing. You can also join our Discord for more updates, sneak peeks, and manhwa discussions. Until next time, stay limitless.